Hey everybody, this is Elise from Camp ASCCA, and you're listening to Camp ASCCA, the podcast, the show that dives into all things ASCCA and the people that make camp the incredible place it is. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with what's happening here at camp. That's at Camp ASCCA, CAMP ASCCA. Hey everybody, welcome back to Camp ASCCA, the podcast. Today I'm here with a special guest, Nurse Abbey. Hey Abbey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I am Nurse Abbey. That's what everybody calls me now. I live in Opelika, Alabama with my husband, Quilly, who I actually met at Camp ASCCA in 2002. And we have a 7-year-old son, Moss, and then we have 4-year-old triplets, Newton, Essie Grace, and John Hardy. And they've all been loved on inside of my belly at camp, and then now
definitely
they're
outside.
all here. Yeah, they're part of the camp family, and they love it. So we have 4 kids and a little dog named Birdie, and a fat cat named Gravy, who's also lived at camp. And I am the nurse at camp, and I own another business here in town, and we're just doing life and surviving with the 4 wild things.
Staying busy, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about you working at camp. How long have you worked there?
So, can't do the math anymore. So my first summer was 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from the Mississippi Delta, and Callie Turman and I, she's now Callie Luker.
Mm-hmm.
We had a friend who, his older brother, had been to camps around the country. He has cerebral palsy, and he's in a wheelchair, and he would always hang out with us at the baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked him, what is your favorite camp you've been to? And he said Camp ASCCA on Lake Martin. And so Callie and I were just kind of like, let's do something different. We graduated high school. And so we called, and that's when Tom Collier was the camp director. And we called, and we were like, we want a job. We're friendly. We can have fun. And so he was like, you want to be lifeguards? And we said, sure.
Yeah.
So we literally, our families packed us up, and we came to camp the summer of 2002. Funny story with that is Callie and I were born on the same day, December 7th.
Oh, wow.
And we both met our husbands at Camp ASCCA. They didn't work at the same time, but they've met. And then we both got engaged to those guys December 14th on the same year.
Oh.
And they were in North Carolina, and we were at Camp ASCCA.
Oh, wow.
To marry him at camp. And they didn't know that the other one was going to
What are the odds?
So isn't that crazy? So we both married camp boys, and I worked at camp for, I think, 5 summers. And I did everything from, my first summer I was a lifeguard. My second summer I worked Adventure. That's when Matt was Adventure director. So he was my boss still then. So we had a lot of fun. And then my 3rd, 4th, and 5th summers, I believe, I was a unit leader, but I drove the ski boat, and just did a lot of other things.
Yeah,
so,
all the fun stuff.
Yeah, so worked those 5 summers. And then I kind of traveled around, lived a lot of different places. I went to nursing school in St. Louis, and straight out of nursing school, worked labor and delivery. That's mostly what I've done in nursing. And so 2013... I had seen, not all high-risk labor and delivery is pretty. And so it was just time for me to make a move. And I called Amber Cotney, who's my best friend. We're like sisters. You know that. And I said, I'm going to travel nurse, but I don't even know where I want to go next. And she was like, well, come be a nurse at Camp ASCCA for the summer. And get back to your roots. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I came back, and she even said, and while you're at it, go on and see Quilly, because y'all know that y'all are supposed to be together. And so we did, and we realized pretty quickly that we were ready. We were both at the same place where we wanted to be together. So we did. I moved here so I worked that summer as just a staff nurse, or not just a staff nurse, as a staff nurse. And then stayed here in Auburn, Opelika, and did labor and delivery here a long time, but then came back as the health services director. John and Matt asked me to come be the health services director in 2015 or 16, I think.
Okay.
So 13 and then 15 and 16. My years are so that I think it's like 12 years or 13 years or something. But Health Services Director for a few years. Pregnant with Moss, our oldest, that one summer. He was born September 6th. So, and then it's splotchy, Elise. Just stick with me. So we actually sold, Quilly and I, when Moss was about a year old, we sold our house in town and moved out and lived in the old nurse's house, which is Courtney's house at camp, full time. And life was beautiful.
Oh,
the dogs
it is.
could run.
It is.
Living out there, it's just awesome. And we were just living our best life because all the camp staff was like family to us at this point.
You've grown up with them.
Yeah, literally. And then got pregnant in 2018 with spontaneous triplets.
Definitely spontaneous. I don't know if anyone necessarily plans to have three at one time.
I know. Well, so for anybody who's listening, I'm a labor and delivery nurse, which is a little bit dorky to me. Spontaneous means no fertility drugs were involved, and there's no family history of multiples on my side of the family, which is it's carried down on the female side. So I was 35, and I remember calling Amber and freaking out in the car because we were coming back home. Like, we had been in Birmingham and we were coming back home, knowing that I had triplets in my belly. And I was crying and hysterical, and she was like, "Oh God!" So when I got there, I came to her office, and Matt walked in, and then I started crying even more because Matt and I, we can get emotional together. So I was all upset because it changed everything.
Yeah.
So it did, and I finished out that summer pregnant with the triplets.
I don't know how you did that.
Everybody saw me. Were you there that summer?
I started 2019.
Okay, yeah, I was big. But I kept working, and then, so we moved back right at the end of that summer. I finished out session 6, and took off for a few years because triplets.
Yeah, triplets.
Hashtag triplets. Plus one. Because Moss turned 2 8 days after they were born.
Oh wow.
And then came back to the Health Services Director in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first
summer
back after COVID.
Yeah. 21.
So, yeah.
Wow. You've had quite the journey with camp.
Yes, but I can't. I love to tell this story, and Matt knows it. But for years in the summers, I kept being like, "This is my last summer," like so many of us do. And I remember one year he was like, "Abby, stop saying that. It's in your blood. You're gonna keep coming back."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dang it, he's right." And then it really has proven I can't get away from it.
What is it that keeps you coming back to camp? I know it's a combination of so many things.
No, but I think overall, I mean, it's just, the place is magical. It's just, it's, like I said, I've lived in a lot of different places and met a lot of different people. And ASCA is just, will always remains the one place. I mean, our tagline is like my least restrictive environment. And that doesn't matter if you have a disability or not. It's the least emotionally restrictive, everything just, everybody is who they are there. Yeah. And it's beautiful.
No boundaries, no ego.
No boundaries. Yeah, none of that. And it's just something, it's hard to find that. I've never found that anywhere else besides camp.
It's genuine kindness. It's them taking you as you are and you taking them how they are.
Exactly. And I think when I was a summer staff, I did it, because I loved it. And it's so funny because you never imagine, like, they're like, you have to light people and help toilet people. And now as a nurse, I'm like, but
whatever. You
don't even think about doing that. It becomes like second nature because you just get in and you do it. Yeah.
They would do it for you if they could.
Exactly. So. And then now, though, I'll be honest, the thing that keeps me coming back now is watching how big of an impact, because the campers I've known, the campers they already have life figured out.
Oh, 100%.
The staff so to see these like young people really like find themselves, and even the girls coming in where in the beginning they're wearing makeup and they're trying to look good, and by then they're like, nobody cares what I look like, and I'm working.
They're not focused on you. Exactly. Everybody's focus is on our campers.
Yeah, and what we're there for.
Exactly.
And so I really love just watching the staff become really good humans. In our crazy world today, it's harder and harder to find those people. And so now, and especially now as a mother, I'm like, my kids don't have a choice. Yeah. So we're gonna have to keep camp going because they're going to have to be there in a few years.
reminds you that there are good people.
Yeah.
And camp turns out good people.
Yes.
I never in a million years would have dreamed that I would end up working full-time at a camp. Yeah. I hated summer camps growing up. I went into my first summer at ASCA with a bad attitude. I didn't want to do it. I didn't like summer camp. I don't want to be outside.
Right.
And first camper I met, it was like a reality check. I was like, you know what? That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
He is the reason that I'm here because he's taking me as I am, my bad mood and all, and he is loving me regardless. Mm-hmm. I should give the same love back. And it's just that simple. And it's the most magical place in the world.
Isn't it?
What is it like having, you kind of grew up there working so many summers. What is it now like having your kids grow up there in that environment?
It's amazing. I've always been a softie. I'll start tearing up. It's just incredible. It teaches my kids life lessons that I couldn't teach. You can't tell kids the lessons because kids learn by observation. So letting my kids see other people do for other people, like the staff caring for the campers, and the campers just will get up on stage or break out into a spin move on the floor in the middle of the dining hall.
Love it.
Like it shows Moss, actually my oldest. This is, I knew we were doing this podcast today, honestly, and we were laying in bed last night, and he's my deep thinker, and we were talking about like when people make fun of people or if people are making fun of you, like how that makes you feel and like how to handle it. And I was just like, you can always just say, hey man, like please, that doesn't make me feel good. Or, just see them where they are. They might be having a bad day and that's why they're being ugly to you, and don't take it personally. And he said, yeah, like the campers at Camp ASCCA. And like started talking.
You're gonna make me tear up.
I know. And it like seriously, it's like I couldn't have, and that's not something I've like preached to him. He just knows. And he was talking about his friend Miss Joan Smith. She's one of my favorites. She comes from Montgomery, and she's in a chair, and she's been letting Moss ride in her lap in her wheelchair, going way too fast.
She drives so fast
since he was a baby. And he was like Miss Joan. He was like, it doesn't matter that she's in a wheelchair. She's my favorite. She's the most fun.
Yeah.
And he was like, and Matthew loves me so much. He brings me books and, oh my gosh, they're so sweet. Miss Susan, his mama, has been so sweet to my children and me over the years. And it's just, they get to see people doing good.
Yeah.
And I don't have to preach it to them because they witness it.
Yeah. You don't have to worry. I mean, you do worry, obviously, but you don't have to worry that they're not seeing kindness being shown in the world. Yeah. Because they see it every day that they're at camp.
Exactly. Well, and we laugh because also it is stressful sometimes. And I know, like, when my kids are running around the back of the dining hall, I can, like, feel Courtney. And she's my best friend. So, but, like, I mean, I know it gets a little crazy. But crazy, and they are wild just because the gang mentality is real. Yeah. There's more of them than me and Quilly.
Yeah.
But when they go to school and everything, and they'll, like, drive me crazy at home. Like, oh, my gosh, you are wild. And they're not that, but every single person when we go out, like at school, or they're the most sweet children. Like, and I mean, sometimes we've been like, there's no way that they don't act like this way in front of y'all. And they're like, no, they just really, they care. They look out for their friends. And I mean, I choose to believe that, I mean, I want to take, me and Quilly can take a little bit of credit for it. Yeah. But a lot of it has
comes
come
from camp. Yeah.
Just watching it.
Yeah. It's a different environment. I think it's a place that everybody should visit at least once in their life and get 100%. To experience. 100%. Makes us all a little better. So I know you kind of dived in a little bit to your nursing history. How did you decide that you wanted to become a nurse? I mean,
yeah. So honestly, I've always been like a split decision maker. What happened? I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and I was a nanny when I was in Boulder for a family that had 4 girls, and the one that they hired me for, her name was Maddie, and she was nonverbal spastic cerebral palsy, and I took care of her, but I also got to, get to know her whole family and her sisters, and the 4th child was born at home by midwife when
oh wow.
And so I got to like experience that, and I was just like mind blown.
Yeah.
By the whole thing. And I remember being like, I want to be a midwife. Like, I want to do that. But I also, being from the South, and then also, knowing that eventually I wanted to get back to the South because it's still the best.
Yeah. Your roots are here.
Right. Right. deeply sewn roots. But I knew, I mean, midwifery's coming about, but I just knew in the South it's going to be a long time before they can have home births like that.
Yeah.
Truly. So I was like, I need to go to nursing school and get a true degree in nursing. And then what my goal was is I'd be a midwife, and then I'd work with families from birth through life, and especially with families that had children with special needs. And then, so I chose to go to nursing school, and that's the whole story of me choosing St. Louis. I told you I'm kind of random. But I did. I graduated nursing school, and I worked high-risk labor and delivery in inner city St. Louis for a long time. And I just stuck to that. I didn't ever go to midwifery school. But that's kind of how it all started. It all came back to working with
people with disabilities. Yeah. They kind of get in you, you know? You mentioned that you own a business here in Opelika. What is that business?
Yeah, so it's called Magnolia Families. So after when I was pregnant with the triplets, I worked at EAMC here for a while as a labor nurse for many years, on and off. And I had to stay home, obviously. It would be like paying the hospital to work with sending four kids to
it's insane.
Daycare.
I don't even have kids, and I know the prices are insane.
It's so crazy. So I was staying at home with the kids. I had to leave camp, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love being a mom, but I love to work and do. And so I was trying to figure out, when I found out that I was having triplets, because I'd worked high-risk labor, I'd seen a lot of higher order multiples pregnancies and women in the hospital for months. And so when I found out, I was floored, obviously, but I was really upset because all I could picture was the stuff that I had seen.
The negative aspects
of it. And I knew that I had camp coming up that summer, and I was just like, this is not happening. So I really, I went through the 7 stages of grief.
Yeah.
And so I remember being like, oh, I don't even know how I'm going to get them to sleep. What do I, how do I,
where do you begin?
I nursed moms over a year. How do I make children sleep? I can't nurse 3 babies at once. I can't hold them all for that long at once. What am I going to do? And so I had a Moms on Call as a sleep program. It was developed by nurses out of Atlanta. And I had a consultant come in, and she was telling me all these things, and there's so much stuff out there, how to get your kid to sleep and all, and it's ridiculous because we all know that kids and humans have been sleeping since forever. But she came in and she was really sweet. She didn't have triplets plus one, so I was kind of like, okay.
Should I really listen?
Yeah, but I tried it, and I was just like, a lot of this doesn't make sense. Babies are screaming at 5:30, but I'm supposed to keep them up until 8. What is happening? Yeah. So I basically took what I learned from her, but figured out a lot more. And the triplets were sleeping through the night, 13 hours a night.
Oh, wow.
3.5 months.
Yeah.
And because people were following my journey, or our journey, because triplets, it's
that's not an everyday thing,
I had people start reaching out to me on Facebook, how are you surviving? Are you ever asleep? And I was like, actually we do. Yeah. So they were like, well, can you tell me what you're doing? And I remember one night I told Quilly, I was like, I could make a business out of this. Yeah. And so I went to school and got certified in a very science-backed school on sleep. And then I'm also comfortable working with kids with disabilities. Yeah. And so I formed Magnolia Families, and it's just kind of taken off. And I've recently added, because I taught childbirth classes, and I've, obviously taught moms how to take care of newborns. Yeah. Model and done that for years. I've recently added in childbirth classes. Okay. And newborn care classes, because the reality is, and especially for parents, any parents who are listening to this that have a child with disabilities, sometimes you don't even know until they're a little bit older. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Every human sleeps. And when you have a baby, and then it's okay, you're in the hospital for 48 to 72 hours. Now here's a human, go survive. And you're like,
how? What?
And the healthcare system, I'm a healthcare worker, but insurance companies don't allow enough time for you to be taught anything. No. And so it's frustrating to me. Yeah. And so my goal is to give every mom a fair chance. Yeah. No matter, if it's a NICU, if you had a long NICU stay, whichever, humans sleep. And so getting back to basics, you don't need all those products and everything. And it's just, I don't know, I think just coming from Camp ASCCA for so long, I'm just real with people because
Yeah.
nobody has time to not be. And camp has ingrained that in me.
Oh, 100%.
And I think it's just taken off, and people like it because they make it simple, and it's working. So I'm doing that.
People like simple.
Yeah.
And people honestly just need a chance, and you're giving that to them. That's awesome.
I'm like, get off of Instagram. New mamas, get off of Instagram. But that's the craziest thing, too. I'm like, there are so many schedules out there. Like, it's sleep. Like, it can't be this different. But
you need it. They will.
Yeah. So it works, and I do that. And then, but I definitely, when I work at camp in the summers, I just put it on social media and stuff. I shut down shop.
Yeah. Because
I have to be present at camp and with my kids. So.
It's a lot to juggle all at once. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abby. I enjoyed this. I know.
It never stops. The hardest
doesn't.
job is the motherhood.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.
What's happening at ASCA? This is the part of the show where we are going to talk about everything that's happening right here at Camp ASCCA.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Rickman, the camp director here at Camp ASCCA. Just wanted to give you a quick update on how things are going here towards the end of January. Staying really busy, got a lot of different projects going on. We're doing a lot of clearing of trees around camp and have different projects going with some painting inside the cabins and making them look nice and just getting everything ready for the busy season. And speaking of the busy season, we're also in the midst of hiring. So I've been starting interviews with new staff. We've got a decent amount of returning staff. Yeah, we always want more, but we've got some good ones coming back. And so, we're in the midst of hiring counselors, program staff, nurses, and we just had one PR position just opened up. And so looking to hire all of those. So if you know anyone who is 18 years of age or older and looking for a great summer job that will just be beneficial in so many ways, please think about us. Go to our website at campasca.org and check us out. The staff application is there online. And once you get your reference forms in and everything, then I'll shoot you an email. We'll set up an interview and go from there.
Thanks for listening to Camp ASCCA, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to you joining us next time. As always, be sure to follow us on social media at Camp ASCCA and visit our website, campasca.org, for more information about camp.